Who is that on the radio?
Who is that on the radio?
Who is that on the radio?
You really want to know who's on the radio? Come on. Let's talk about it.
Jeffery. Let's talk about it live with Jeffrey L. Miller. Watching is the best decision you'll ever make. Saturdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. Call or text in live 470-251-4647. Hashtag Let's Talk with Jeffrey. And come check us out on www.statusnetwork.net or download the Status Network app on your Apple or Google Play Store.
Let's give them something to talk about.
It's almost showtime, people. Let's tune in to see what Jeffrey has in store for us tonight. And here's your host, Jeffrey L. Miller.
What's going on, Instagram family? It's time for Let's Talk About It Live with Jeffrey L. Miller on the new home, Manifest TV, right here on the Status Network. Listen, it's been 3 long weeks since I've been on the air. So, you know, I'm just itching to talk about all these things that's been happening. Now, first of all, I'd like to welcome our guest to the show today. Now, I know I'm going to get it right because I believe in me. Ivana, almost had it.
Almost.
Ivana is joining us here, Apostle Ivana Vereen, correct? Wonderful. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming out. All right. And returning to the show, this is his second time around, we have Selwyn Scott. Welcome, Brother Selwyn. Good to see you again.
Very good to be seen.
All right. All right, now listen now. I want everybody to understand something. Go ahead and grab your mics. That way everybody can hear you. I think we're already on. Good deal, good deal. This is a whole new format. Normally, you know, I used to be behind the bar. But now, you know, I'm completely legitimate with this thing because I got my own desk. How about that? Y'all like that? I like it. I think it's going to be hot. So we're in a new place, new network, new atmosphere, a blue screen, big old banner in the back. But you still know what time it is. It's time for you to close your mouth and listen. You ask me some questions. I'll give you some answers from a man's point of view. Now listen, I got one reason for the habitually single woman and one reason for the habitually single man as to why you might be single. But before we get to that, here is my disclaimer. Now, see, what I'm going to talk about might not apply to you, and if it doesn't apply to you, I don't want you to put your foot up in this shoe. But if it does apply to you, I want you to put both feet in both shoes and walk around in them because you're about to learn something tonight. Now, ladies, you go first. Ladies, some of y'all are single because you don't know what a real man actually does. I need you to understand me. You've been dealing with dudes that are the F-boys and the chumps and the lazy men for so long that that's your standard right there. So when a good brother comes along and he starts doing good brother things, you don't know how to relate to that. You might think he's too nice. You might think this is too good to be true. I know he gonna mess it up. You might think something like that, but I want you to understand, ladies, is that's a reflection on you, not a reflection on him. Love might have some moments of pain, but love isn't painful. Love might have some moments of pain, but it's not painful. Nobody can show you love and affection by jacking you up or being insanely jealous. No, that's not a healthy relationship. So, ladies, I need you to understand that sometimes you might be single because you don't know what a real man does. Y'all didn't think I was going to change, did you? All right. Apostle Ivana. Did I get it right that time? Still didn't get it right. Ivana.
It's okay, Ivana.
Ivana, got it.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, I think what you're saying is on point.
Okay.
Some women get so used to.
I'm sorry, y'all. My hand is uncontrollable. I got to reach over here and get this bell. Y'all know, welcome the bell back to the show. Y'all know how it is. We always work with the bell.
I like what you're doing.
Okay.
Okay, but some women, they have gotten so used to and comfortable with being treated less than that became their norm. So when the good man comes along and says, wait a minute, I want to treat you good, I want to treat you like you should be treated, it's like, hold up, I'm not used to that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense because that's out of their norm. Sure. So the mindset has to be changed. Mm-hmm. The mindset has to be renewed. Almost like the stuff that was in there, the abuse, the emotional abuse, it's got to be unlearned.
Absolutely.
You know? So that's my stance on it. You know, we need a renewed mind for everything.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that feedback. All right. Brother Selwyn, what do you think?
I think, Prophetess has a great point. I think that also, for me, it's just being in a position to receive it, knowing how to receive great treatment, great behavior. I remember last year we were talking about the woman as women like to say sometimes that men are dogs. Well, the dog learns their behavior from the master, and essentially it's just the ability to be able to receive that behavior that is given from a man that is like, hey, let's take the next step. This is how it's supposed to be. Being able to receive that and understand it.
Told y'all we hadn't changed. We just changed location. All right, fellas, don't think I'm letting you off the hook. Fellas, you are next. Now, men, some of you are single because you don't know what manhood is either. I need you to feel me on this now. Where there is scarcity, there's always conflict. Where there is scarcity, there is always conflict. We have so much conflict in some of our communities because of the scarcity of masculine energy. Scarcity of masculine energy. Now, don't get it twisted. Our women have been doing the work for as long as they could, and they've been fighting real hard to keep things together. That is no excuse for us not going home and doing what we're supposed to do to hold up our end of the bargain. We're supposed to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. Whether you agree with me or not, scarcity always breeds conflict. And we got conflict going on in our community. You can tell by the way people approach our women right now with all types of haughtiness and all types of impetuousness when they talk to our women because they feel no threat of repercussion from the men. I need you to feel me. So fellas, you might be single because you're too busy talking about what women ain't doing, what women's supposed to be, how women ain't changed, but you don't know anything about manhood. Brother Selwyn, what do you think?
One of the things my father used to say is that you have to be the change agent you want to see.
Absolutely.
And for men, I think you hit it dead on top of the nail on top of the head. Like we have to really reclaim our position and reclaim our understanding of we are the headship and we actually lead. So based on that, I'm really glad you brought that point up. And I think it's one of those things where the propaganda of how we even view television, things that we actually look at on a consistent basis, how they actually basically emasculate men to where we think that that's the normal function and our normal role.
Thank you. All right. Yes, ma'am. What do you think?
I definitely want to add to it pride.
Okay.
Pride is in the way. People in general are lacking humility. Pride has superseded humility. It's a process. To everything, there's a process. And you have to learn, you have to be willing to learn to be a man. Okay. That means seeing it from a different point of view. You got to let the pride go. Let the pride go so you can learn how to be the man, the head of your household. Because if you don't wear the pants correctly, the woman is going to wear the dress and the pants. And then you're going to be left outside.
Dress and the pants.
Thank you.
Okay, now listen, here's the phone number. The phone number is 470-251-4647. 470-251-4647. I told you we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Before we do that, let's get some background on our two guests. Now, Pastor Ivana. Ivana. Dang it. I'm going to get it right before the show's over.
Yeah.
Tell us about you and your, first of all, tell us about your spiritual walk.
Well, today, praise God, I am affirmed apostle.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Was a process. It was a process. Can I just mention this real quick? Because
sure.
I hear a lot of people saying it's not about the title. A lot of other ministers, and I sit in the service and I hear it's not about the title. And then you got some people who want to be the apostle, who want to be the pastor, who wants to be the evangelist, but they don't want to go through what you got to get through to become that.
Okay.
They don't know the tears that I've cried. They don't know the challenges that I've had to endure. They don't know what I had to go through to be where I am on my way to greater. Praise God. I got a story. Okay. I got a testimony upon testimony upon testimony. I'm going to tell it.
Good deal.
That's what makes me different. I'm transparent. I'm delivered and not ashamed. So I'm going to tell it. Born in the projects, you know, my dad was there some of the time. He struggled with drug addiction, heroin, and in the street, the women, and, you know, thank God he's delivered today. But my mother, she had to wear the pants and the dress. My mother, she had to be the strength. And, you know, God rest her soul, she passed on in 2002. But she did what she needed to do to set me on my way. I was addicted. Let me just say that. I was addicted to crack cocaine. Okay. I know I could look like it. But, you know, when God delivers you, there's no trace of it.
Wow. Absolutely.
You know, when God steps in, it's over. You know what I mean? That season is over. So now what he's doing is he's using all that I have. I'm using what he's given me to tell, to help, to reach out to others. Wow, this was a journey, even writing this book, because I had to relive some things. Okay. And if I wasn't delivered before writing this, I got what I needed by the time it was done.
Understood.
Because just reliving it, I almost had an anxiety attack.
Wow.
I was like,
well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come back to that book.
Yeah.
Because it's a powerful testimony. I can see right now it's just, y'all can't feel the energy in the room.
I'm trying to tell you.
But I can feel it. Okay, we're going to come back to that. We're going to talk about that. Now, Brother Selwyn.
Yes.
Talk to me now. Here's your book right here.
Yes.
My soulmate
is married.
Yes. My soulmate is married. Now look, a lot of folks, soulmate is married. And they still laying with their soulmate. Let's talk about the book, sir. What caused you to write the book? Tell us about it.
It's a relational book from a male's perspective. I think, you know, I'm an avid reader, and I like to have great company and great conversation. That's how we grow as a people. That's how we galvanize our thoughts. And, you know, just looking at all of the movies, all of the shows that are portrayed on a day-to-day basis, you know, they have a woman's perspective. They have a more feminine point of view. And, you know, one of the things you have to be the change that you want to see. So for more of a realistic point of view from a guy, I decided to write a book of just the experiences growing up, from barbershop talk all the way to locker room talk. So it's a good mix of relationship, spiritual guidance, and the whole nine. Okay,
now you both brought up spirituality. Now, I got a question for both of you. Now, first of all, what is the woman's role in a spiritual relationship? And then, Brother Selwyn, what is the man's role in a spiritual relationship? So let's get your perspective from the woman, then we'll bring it right here to you, Brother Selwyn.
It will always be to be humble. It will always be to be humble, but to be the strength. Hallelujah. Come on now. I feel like preaching. To be the strength. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, if we look at Obama and Michelle.
Okay.
They were both in office. Do you hear what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? At night, you know, iron sharpens iron. So, you know, he could have been going through some things and, you know, had some questions about some things. There's his wife to cover him. See, it's so important. The woman's role is so important. I mean, let's look at Adam and Eve. Let's look at Abraham and Sarah. Come on, Abraham and Sarah. Abraham was the father of many nations. How did that come about? Sarah played her role. She did what she had to do. You know what I mean? They worked as a team. Come on, they worked as a team. Men need women.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Men need women.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? The man can't lay down and push out. You can't do that. You all pass out on the table.
I wouldn't doubt it. I believe so.
I'm the mother of 7. I have 6 sons and 1 daughter.
All right.
Yes. Wow. And God is so good to bless me and keep on blessing me. Amen. And it's the strength. It's the strength that came from my mother.
Okay.
You know, that has helped me be who I am today.
I love it. I love it. Brother Selwyn, what about the men now? What's our spiritual responsibility?
I think our spiritual responsibility is definitely to lead, to be the headship, and to take the brunt of the family. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in my eyesight, I think the spiritual viewpoint should be God, man, woman, and child. And based off of that structure, you're blessed in that structure. And, you know, a man is designed, we're built for war, just the way that God created our bodies to be. Yes. We're built to take the blows, the heartaches, the headbreaks, but like you were saying, that woman's covering is what gets them ready for the battle for the next day. So
okay, now, I'm going to play with all this divinity around me.
Yeah.
Devil's advocate.
Angel's advocate, I like it.
Okay, here we go. I'll take that. Angel's advocate, here we go. Now, we know that there are some educated women out there right now. Educated to the point where they're more educated than some of the men that approach them. Successful to the point where they're more successful than some of the men that approach them. Now, if that man approaches her right, and he may be a rung or two down when it comes to education, how can he get that woman to pay attention to him where she'll notice the God in him?
Just be yourself. Just be yourself. I myself do not judge men. We who are in Christ, we can't judge. We can't go around judging anybody or casting down. Come on, or casting down anybody for where they might be, because I'm telling you, God will raise you up. You don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know what approaches you. I mean, because God can change anybody. So if we put on this haughtiness, like we're better than, because I got a doctorate and you got an associate's, we're going to miss the blessing.
Good deal.
Be yourself.
All right,
be yourself.
Now, Brother Selwyn. Now, if you don't know, Brother Selwyn went to Morehouse. So he missed out on Morris Brown. So I ain't going to hold that against him, though.
No, I love Morris Brown. I love Morris Brown.
Absolutely.
Love
Absolutely. And we ain't never closed. We still open right now.
Morris Brown.
NBC.
NBC.
Don't get it twisted. You better ask somebody. All right, now, Brother Selwyn. Now, okay, a suspension of disbelief. Let's say you had not had your education from Morehouse College. And you saw that woman that, you know, you believe that was a part of your manifest destiny. This woman is your blessing. But she has that PhD or that MD or that JD.
I like it.
How are you going to get her to see the God in you?
Well, I think that guys have to first understand, even if you have MD at the end of your title, the reality of it is every doctor that is in that medical field, they practice. They don't know anything to be true just as much as the next person. So they're practicing. So based on that, the playing field for the relationship is balanced every single day. Because even if she's a doctor, she's doing nothing more than practice. Because some things take on certain people, certain things don't take on certain people. So keeping the relationship feel balanced in that respect is just knowing that. And I think that, you know, the God in that's your true representation of God. Being able to recognize that everybody plays on the same level, but it's how you elevate yourself through what you go through.
Man, listen, I want to let y'all know, first of all, I got this video that kind of exemplifies what happens when the Spirit moves you. I can tell you right now in this room, y'all can't see it, but the Spirit is moving up in this piece. I'm going to show y'all what the Spirit does in just a moment. Next question, here we go. All right, now, Brother Selwyn, I'm going to ask you this question now. You know, a lot of people are disenfranchised with the church because they feel like the church is still stuck in the march movement and they're still stuck in the boycott movement, and the church has gotten rich, if you will, off the pain and suffering so that we can get something in heaven, but not something on earth.
Absolutely.
So what would you recommend, or what would you say to the young man out there right now that's not looking to the church for that, that spiritual nourishment?
Well, I think that street runs two different ways. I think that the church has to recognize that we're in a totally different time. We're in a more radical age, so it has to be more, to match the people. More so than that, I think the church, in a realistic way, has dropped the ball in being the headship of the things that are going on when it deals with our race and our culture of people. On the other end of that spectrum, people have to realize that the church is a body of people, and we're flawed, and that's why we're in church, because we're broken and we're bruised and we're flawed people.
Okay.
The other point to that is people have to understand the church is much like the produce section at the grocery store.
Okay.
You got some good produce, you got some bad produce, but you're not going to stop shopping because of the bad produce.
That's right.
So you still got to go to the house to get restored and get fixed up and get back out there.
Good deal. Good deal. I'll take it. I love it. All right. What do you think?
Well, As you were saying, iron does sharpen iron. So, and the Bible says, forsake not the assembly of the saints. So, yeah, the church is necessary. It's needed. But as far as dropping the ball, it's so true. We have got to get rid of this religious spirit. It's not about religion. It's about relationship. It's about relationship with the Father. Come on. Amen. Matthew 22:36-40 says the greatest commandment is to love God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. And the second greatest is to love your neighbor as yourself. Now, if I'm coming to you with love, I'm not going to tear you down. I'm going to build you up. Okay. I'm going to sharpen your iron. I'm going to encourage you, motivate you, uplift you, and encourage you just to keep on going and growing in the things of God. And guess what? You're going to do because of what you learned. You're going to help somebody else. This is what it's all about. This is what God wants. Relationship, not religion.
Good deal. I love it. I love it. Now, everybody hear me out real quick. Before we pivot, I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. But when the Spirit actually moves you, sometimes it just takes over and moves it where you're supposed to go. Right. You might have everything. I got a whole layout of the show right here. You know, those last couple of questions, that's where the Spirit took us. We'll take it. We'll take it. So I got a quick question for everybody. How does everybody feel about the way that our society judges our women? Start with you, Apostle. Ivana.
Stop.
Did I get it right? Dang it.
Ivana. Stop stereotype.
Ivana. Got it. All right, so what do you think about the way our society judges our women?
I would say stop stereotyping us, stop grouping us all together as one because we are individuals.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it goes right back to your relationship and your walk. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because we're all on different levels, trying to get better, trying to be better. So we can't be grouped in the same category. You know, we're individuals.
Okay. Brother Selwyn, what do you think? It seems that there's a lot of pressure put on women in this society to be a certain way to be deemed worthy of womanhood. What do you think? What's the problem with that?
I think it's a self-worth issue. Like, you have to know your self-worth. If the decision is to make, you know, I want higher cheekbones or bigger shoulders or whatever you decide to have, right? That's up to you, and that's within your walk and within your personal id, right? But if you're doing it to appease or please someone else, I think that's where we miss the ball a lot, because you know, it's about the self-gratification of yourself. How do you know, make yourself happy, and because that's going to be exemplified when you deal with someone else anyway.
Good deal. Now I have a video that we pulled out, and this video is for Well Said. Now I'm going to set it up a little bit. There's been this whole movement around what we call women who decide to dress provocatively, decide to walk provocatively and talk provocatively. So in this clip, there's this gentleman talking to this young lady. You can tell when you look at her face that she's a younger woman, and he's challenging her on how she's dressing, how she's acting, and the way she responds to it is pretty impressive. This is a segment that we call Well Said. And the thing about it is I want everybody to get me. You can be who you want to be. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, I'm good with it. The thing is, there is pressure from society. I speak to a lot of my friends who happen to be feminists, and they know that this is a part of a patriarchal society that's designed to keep them oppressed. So we're going to play this video. We'll come back and talk about it. This is Well Said. Let's roll clip.
Yes, we are all sluts. You're a slut. All these dudes behind you are sluts. Your cameraman's a slut. Your PA's a slut. And your mic's a slut.
And what made you a slut?
Because I own my body. My body is not a political playground. It's not a place for legislation. It's mine and it's my future. And
how old are you?
Grown.
And so you sleep around with a lot of men?
No, actually I'm a virgin.
You're a virgin?
Yeah.
So you're not a slut?
Yes, you can be a slut. Because a slut is not what you made it, Jesse. A slut is what I made it. A boss, getting money, taking the mic, turning life around, taking over Hollywood.
No.
Samira.
So you are still a virgin, but yet you call yourself a slut.
It wouldn't matter. I'm saying it doesn't matter if I'm a virgin. It doesn't matter what a woman's sexual history is. A slut is just a word that you and your fellow penises made. A slut. Your mama's a slut. Your grandma's a slut. Everybody.
Is your mother a slut?
No, but yours is.
Your mother's not a slut?
No.
But you said every woman's a slut.
Everybody.
Well, why your mother's not a slut?
You are a slut. Not my mother in particular is not a slut, but a slut is a word for anybody who's owning their sexuality, turning up, and not letting Jesse twist their answers around.
So let me ask, I noticed are you dressed slutty today?
No. I'm dressed like a woman.
What made you decide to come out looking like this? You look like a slut. What made you do it?
You look like a slut.
What made you dress?
What made you dress like this?
No, just answer that question. What made you dress?
I dress like this because I can dress whatever I want to. Period. But what made you dress like this?
Let me ask you, do you believe?
You put on this striped shirt?
Let me ask you, do you believe in God?
Yes, Jesse. I believe in God.
Would God want you to be a slut?
God would want me to be whatever I want to be.
Would he want you to be a slut?
He would want me to be whatever I want to be.
How about a slut?
Whatever I want to be.
And why would he want you to be a slut?
He would want me to be whatever I want to be because God believes in choice. And you should know that, Jesse. That's why you're allowed to wear this lame-ass shirt.
Would your parents be happy to know that you're a slut?
My parents would be happy to know that I'm a free woman on a billboard in Times Square in Soho for every real because we take back the woman form and we ain't lame dudes like Jesse wearing striped shirts.
All right, thank you so much.
Now, all I'm going to say about that is she held her own. All right. What do you think?
Yeah, she held her own, but I'd like to just take her and give her a hug.
Okay, talk about that.
She became offended, and because she was offended, she became defensive. I used to dress like that once upon a time. I wasn't always where I'm at today, sure, but I didn't know who I was.
Okay.
You know, so I was dressing the outside up for a certain kind of attention, you know, but today I've grown to be the woman of God. You know, I've learned how to dress it up. I've learned how to not be so offended.
Okay.
So that I can hear you.
Understood.
She referred to herself as a slut. No ma'am. No ma'am. I will not degrade myself. I will not think less than of myself. You know, how you treat yourself is how you're going to allow people to treat you.
Well, let me give you a counterpoint. Well, first of all, Selwyn, let me get your input on the video.
The video shows an excellent point of no one stepping in, no real man stepping in and saying, hey, did you just call that young lady a slut? Like that, to me, that was the biggest issue. Like, it was guys standing around, but no one interjected to say, hey, why are you calling this just a young lady? Clearly, she's a young lady. She's younger than you are, so why are you calling her a slut? What did she do? So, to me, that's the bigger issue. The second part of that, I think that she's a young lady just being liberated. I think that was her attitude. That was what her vibrato that she gave off. But you make a great point. I think you shouldn't claim things on yourself that you don't want to be portrayed as. So.
Okay. Now, here's, and I understand and agree with everything you said. Great points. Here's a counterpoint. What that young lady showed was some serious gumption. You could tell that she was much younger than him, but there's a certain amount of intelligence that we, as the adults right now, miss in these younger children. We can tell them what to do all the time, but harnessing the energy they have right now and helping them figure out how to channel it, that's the key. Because right now at that age, that young lady's probably her early 20s to mid 20s at the most. I can tell you right now that her drive is taking her places. She probably just needs help focusing that drive. But at the same time, she stood there and she articulated exactly why she can reject the term slut or she can embrace it and still be powerful. And I think that's the part that we have to be aware of and make sure that we're not turning a blind eye to, because any movement that's ever been worth having has been powered by the youth, not the older people. So I think we would miss an opportunity not listening to someone as fiery as that young lady right there and trying to inspire her with our wisdom to make decisions that may propel her faster. Okay, and that's where I kind of take that right there. Let's get some comments from Facebook real quick. Olivia, what's going on, Olivia? Olivia says she wasn't defensive. A woman can wear anything she chooses. If it should not define who she is as a person, don't judge a book by its cover. That's why there's a disconnect between church and young people. That's a fair point. Virginia says, okay, what is going on with that young lady? Yes, she can wear what she likes, but why use that word? So we're getting both sides of the argument. And I think that's the part that we in our community have to learn how to do better. We have to learn how to reach our younger folk, wrap our arms around them, and give them the type of self-confidence to the fact where they feel like we're not casting them out or casting aspersions on them.
Absolutely.
All right, good deal. Now listen, we're about to get into something here. I want everybody to understand. This week, Charlemagne the God, he's a very, very popular radio host. He had some past allegations or some past situations come back on him. One of them was a rape charge that came up as a result of a party that he threw. So we're going to play the video. The video, he was talking to a gentleman, I think it's Academics or something like that, MC Academics. And as they were speaking to each other, Charlemagne basically said, yeah, you know, I had this party and I was accused of rape. And he talks about it, and we'll talk about that, then we'll come back to discuss what's going on with Charlemagne right now. But we're going to play this video, and we'll come back. This is DJ Academics talking to Charlemagne the God. Let's roll clip.
Since you gained fame with like either groupies or I don't do that shit. Hell, I'm scared of that kind of shit. I done had a rape charge before. Oh, for real? Hell yeah, I'm scared of that kind of shit. I don't even play that. You got like a charge? How you beat that? Because I didn't do it. It was a criminal sexual conduct with a minor charge. That means you would have to like register for this. Yeah, I was. Right? It was the year 2000, 2001. I think I was like 20. I was 20 years old. My cousin had just graduated from high school, and he had got a scholarship to Penn State University. And I had a party, and I had all of these chicks at a party. Like I was doing overnights I was working at Z93 then. So I had all these chicks there that I met through radio, and you know, chicks that my dude had known. So I used to always see this chick with my dude. So I invited her to the party. See, she was at the party and shit. She got drunk, high, whatever. Something happened in the room with a couple of my dudes. I'm asking them, did they mess with the chick, you know, after the fact, after she pressed charges? And they was like, no. But they was like, yo, she's bugging. I remember the night of, they was like, yo, she's in here bugging out. She's kicking over the TV and she's trying to set shit on fire. I'm like, what the fuck? Because I had left. So the next morning, I'm hearing she said she got raped. She got raped. So I go to the hood to ask what happened. They like, yeah, you know, my cousin who had got the scholarship, yeah, he's in jail now. What you mean he's in jail? He's in jail. They said he raped the girl. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I go down to the jailhouse, talk to the detective myself. No, ain't got no one for me. I just told the detective, like, hey, look, I take full responsibility for anything that happened in the house last night. You gonna take the case? No, but I told her, I said, as far as I know, because I asked around, did anybody fuck up? I'm like, yo, nobody got raped, yada, yada, yada. They didn't even have my cousin in custody. My other cousins was fucking with me. Because they was mad they didn't get invited to the party. Hating ass motherfuckers. So my cousin wasn't even in custody. So I went down to the jailhouse for nothing. So I'm like, yo, I take full responsibility for everything. You know, I bought the alcohol. They was like, well, you're not even of age to buy alcohol. And I'm like, well, how'd you get it? Well, I got a crackhead to get it for me. You know, whatever. They went down there copping out pleas with they had to do shit. Damn. So 2 weeks later, they come and arrest me for criminal sexual conduct with a minor. So I had to get blood and hair follicles. Oh, you going down there to initially explain it? They ain't had nobody else depending on. So being that I went down there and took full responsibility, well, lock him up. Did it get through? You got indicted on it and everything, or? Now with the I went to court. Went to court and they reduced the charges to like contributing to the delinquency of a minor because I had to give blood and all, you know, DNA samples, and it wasn't me. Whoever touched it wasn't me. So you can't get no jail time over that.
So
nah, I got like
basically what he's saying to synopsize. There was a party he threw. Somebody assaulted this young lady at the party. She went to the police, as she should have, and some people were arrested, and he went there to find out what was going on. Ended up, he was the one who brought the alcohol to the party. He was underage. He got charged. He did not get charged with actually raping the young woman. He actually did not have sex with the young woman. Fast forward to now. The young lady wants to reopen the case and press charges again because she feels that she was assaulted, and she needs some type of closure to that. So this has been several years ago now. I want to get feedback from the panel. All right, now we'll start with you, Brother Selwyn, and then we'll come over here. What do you think about the situation as far as it coming up again now? And, you know, this is the Me Too movement, so a lot of things are happening when it comes to the rape culture. What do you think about these charges being brought to the forefront again against Charlamagne the God?
I think it's very unfortunate. You know, first, any woman that feel like she's been violated, you know, that in itself is something that, as a man, we can't even speak to.
Sure.
That type of trauma, mental trauma, physical trauma, we can't even speak to. So
we can speak to it now, because men can be raped too. Yes.
Very much so. But I feel women are more emotional beings. They're more in tune with their emotional side.
I agree with that.
So based off of that, for the young lady to feel like she was violated is terrible. But for her to go and proceed with charges on an individual that she know that it wasn't him, I think that's very unfortunate, because I think as an African American male, one of the worst things that could possibly happen is you be convicted or brought to a conviction or any legal situation with a murder, drugs, or rape. Them three things, man, I'm talking about, I take a ticket out every day of the week.
Understood.
I take a speeding fine every day of the week. But those three things, man.
All right, well said, well said. Ivana. Hi. Didn't I tell y'all? Didn't I tell y'all I was going to get it before that show was over with? Got it. Ivana. So what do you think?
Well, I think if it was, if everything was addressed and taken care of, then why is it coming back up? Is it motivated financial? Is it motivated by finances, or, you know, if he did the time, you know what I mean? And it's over. It's over. Now, if she didn't get past it, or if she's blaming him wrongfully, nothing's going to come of it anyway.
Now, from my understanding, they've decided not to reopen the case and to pursue it further. I believe that was either in South or North Carolina. Forgive me if it's South Carolina, but it's one of the Carolinas. Okay, good deal. Now, recently, though, he made some more comments. There was another video that he had where he was talking about a young lady that he had sex with, and with this young lady, he put something in her drink. This is recently. So we're going to play this. We'll come back and we'll talk about it, and then we'll get more insight on it. Let's go ahead and roll the clip on this one. Here we go.
I remember a scenario, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I got this girl real drunk, and
that sentence sounds a little fishy. I got her drunk.
I didn't just get her drunk. I remember I went to the sex store and got Spanish Fly.
Oh, so you raped her?
Shut up. Spanish Fly. They sell it in the sex store. I'm telling the truth. They sell it in the Spanish store. I had the fucking.
They sell knives at the store too. You could put that to a girl's throat and have sex with her. That doesn't mean it's illegal.
So I put the Spanish Fly in the E&J. We drinking the E&J and shit. So in my mind, I don't know if this shit really worked, but I felt like I got horny as a motherfucker too. Right? So she was drunk as shit, and we had sex and shit, and like a lot of my boys was trying to come in the room and fuck her. I'm like, nah, chill out. I can't. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna let you run a train on it. That's rape. Okay. So
it's just one-on-one. It ain't rape.
Yeah. So the next
trains are rape.
So the next morning she wakes up. And we talk about it. And she's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Oh, we had sex." She said, "Okay, well, I'm glad it was you." Then a couple days later, she's like, "Yo, are you sure I only had sex with you?" Because one of my stupid ass cousins was going around saying he fucked her, which he didn't. I know for a fact he didn't. I was there the whole time. Yeah. He did not fuck her. Yeah. He looked at her naked, but he didn't fuck her. Right? So I'm telling her, no, me and you just had sex. Nobody else did nothing. So it just was weird that she was like, "Well, I'm just glad it was you." You know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, I'm like, yo, you could have been in a real bad situation if it was another motherfucker.
That's a huge compliment, man. A girl just said, yo, at least you raped me.
I didn't rape her. I did not rape her.
Hey, if it was any of your cousins or friends that have been raped, but
I didn't rape her because me and her had every intention of having sex with each other.
So then why would you put
Okay, now you heard him say towards the end of that clip that they had every intention of having sex with each other. That's what he said. All right. Now, Pastor Ivana.
Yes.
2 times in a row. Get with your boy.
All right.
What do you think about that video, especially in this day and age of the Me Too movement? What do you think?
That's right. I've been there. It happened to me. That's great.
Okay.
And the fact that she would say what she said, it tells me that it was a case of low self-esteem and her trying to figure out who she is because it's unacceptable.
Understood.
If you are not aware of what's going on, I don't believe that he should have taken advantage of the opportunity to have sex with her.
Understood.
You know, it was not consensual.
Understood. All right, Brother Selwyn.
Oh, it was definitely rape. When you deal with chemicals and alcohol, you don't do it. Like, you just don't. I have 2 daughters, and you know, somebody put something in their Kool-Aid is a problem.
Understood.
So you know, even though you were planning on doing something later, it's still you can't. You don't know a person's bodily makeup. So that's not a good look.
Now, for the record, if a person is incapacitated, they are drunk until they are unconscious, or they are inebriated or taking any type of substance where they are not completely coherent, they cannot consent. The thing is, with this situation, he said they both had it together, and they willingly drank it. So they both were drunk and high and whatever on Spanish Fly. This is what he said. Now, we hadn't heard from the young lady. Here's what I'm going to say to Charlemagne the God. Now, I don't really watch him and follow him that much. I think he has a really good platform. Sometimes he has some dynamic interviews. In this day and age, you have to be very, 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 very smart about what you say. I would submit to you that story, though you thought it might have been funny, probably wasn't the best thing for you to share. If anything, that's something you keep to yourself, and you make sure that you are prepared to speak to that young lady just to make sure that you both were on the same page about what happened that night, because her recollection could be different than yours. She might have just wanted to hang out and have a good time, not hang out, get drugged, which you admitted to doing. Now, if you gave it to her and she put it in her drink, that's something different. If you say, hey, I got this Spanish Fly, I'm going to put it in our drinks. And she said, okay, baby, put it in our drinks. Okay, that might be a little different story. We don't know. I'm just saying you painted yourself in a corner. Now, I'm going to tell everybody out there right now, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I believe that there is this movement to go after a lot of people in the court of public opinion without ever going to court, because right now there's a movement to get Charlemagne the God fired. It started around that first case that was already settled. Now it has more momentum by your own words. You got to be smarter.
Yes.
All right, now, I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and she gave me a very, very good point. She said, this is a part of the rape culture, how they were just talking about it and laughing, how it was just a joke. It was a joke. They're sitting there, they're making a joke. One guy said, oh, you raped her. But he said it in a way that was a joke. He was being flippant about it. So, Apostle Ivana, I almost messed it up, and I'm on a roll. What do you think about the whole rape culture that we need to address in not just our community, but every community? How do you think we could best address that?
Head on. We need to stop sugarcoating it and making joking about it. It's not okay. Because we're minimizing the pain. We're minimizing the effects of getting what needs to be done as a result of rape or even accusations of rape. Not okay. It's never okay. But I just feel like it's the sign of the times. If we don't stand up for something, we're going to fall for anything. We have got to stop this now. Now, back in the day, you couldn't joke like this. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is like a movement. It's like a movement. And it needs to stop. It needs to be addressed hard.
Fair enough.
You
fair
know?
enough.
Yeah.
Brother Selwyn, what do you think?
I think with the movement, for those who have legitimate cases, gripes, things have actually happen to them. I think in those situations, those women have a specific voice. So in that respect, the movement itself is great. But I think that with that movement, I think too many people have leached and latched and attached themselves on to something that is not to be played with, not to be fooled around with. Because as a man, again, on the back side of that, you have to deal with the 50-50 chance that, well, it was brought up, so maybe. You have to always, even if you're exonerated, it was brought up, so maybe. And who knows? Charlamagne self-admittedly drugged the young lady, so who knows? He could have been in line to go to NBC, ABC. You know what I mean? And self-admittedly, now he's taking himself out of the running for something bigger that he potentially could have had. So,
Fair enough.
I think you have to be real careful with saying rape altogether.
Right. Before I go back to my comment on it, Olivia has a comment. She said it's still rape when she became unconscious, which prevented her from being able to change her mind. That is absolutely true. No disputing that part right there. Lashana says, hey, Lashana, how you been? Charlamagne better study the Cosby trial. He is probably going to find himself in a trial. What he admitted to is rape. I agree. Raquel, how you doing? We have to have you on the show again real soon. Olivia come back and says, even if she willingly took the drug and it left her incapacitated, she wasn't allowed to say no. I do not disagree with that. Here is my only point. Now, we're talking about what happened with Charlamagne the God several years ago and a decade ago. We're not talking about contemporary. Now, when he was a young man, underage, throwing a party, I believe that we're trying to adjudicate his behaviors back then by today's standards. That is not fair. That's not fair. What we have to focus on is these young men raping these women after these parties and getting 6 months probation. This year, last year, 2 years ago, who were about to have their records expunged. Don't talk about rape culture from something 20 years ago and fall silent on what's happening right now. Now, I believe our best actions are to address what happened in the past and learn from it. Not necessarily go back and retry all of those cases. Now, Charlamagne, I'm going to just put it out there. You might be in some trouble very soon. There are some prosecutors. They're well-minded, very well-balanced and well-versed on things like that, and they may be looking to hold you accountable for what you just said you did. Now, I'm not wishing that on you, of course. I'm just saying that if you take a case like Nate Parker in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who was brought up on rape charges and found not guilty, releasing a movie and having that movie maligned basically because he had a rape trial and he did not apologize to the young lady. He did not say, you know what, I put her in a bad situation. He didn't say anything like that. And I believe that he was within his rights not to do so because he had his day in court, she had her day in court, and he was found not guilty in Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is not the most friendly place. This wasn't an all-black jury. I think there was one black person on that jury. Everything else was predominantly white women. He was found not guilty, and he was still raked over the coals when The Birth of a Nation came out, like he actually had raped someone that same year.
Absolutely.
So that's all that I'm saying, and I want everybody to hear me clearly. If someone takes a drug willingly and you give it to them and y'all right there and they're unconscious and you keep going, that is rape. Only North Carolina, only state that I know of that says once you start having sex with a man, if you say stop and he doesn't stop, it's not considered rape. That is the only state, and that, in my opinion, that is preposterous. If we're in the middle of it and she says, you know what, I changed my mind, you supposed to stop. And I said supposed to on purpose. You supposed to stop. All right, I just wanted to put that out there. So here we go. Let's get to something else. There's this young lady that I actually enjoy watching. Her name is Candace Owens. Now, Candace Owens is a conservative pundit. She appears on Fox News a lot. And not long ago, she had a post she put up about the war on police. She said that police brutality is a myth. Now, I went on that post, and I engaged some law enforcement professionals, some conservative Americans, some liberal Americans, and we had a very, very spirited debate. And I had fun peppering them with facts. You know, at the end of that thread, which is a very long thread, they said, hey, I can appreciate you making an intelligent argument about what you did. And I said, you know what? Thank you for your service through law enforcement to the public. And we agreed to disagree, but we had a healthy respect for each other. We're going to play this video because Candace is going to make a solid point, and then we're going to talk about what's really going on the streets out here dealing with police in our communities. Let's roll this clip.
Move myself from this narrative that CNN is trying to sell to us. When I remove myself from the emotional aspects, which, by the way, people ask me the question, how can you say it was okay that Philando Castile died and was shot by a police officer? I would never say that it was okay that Philando Castile died. I would never deny a horrific event. What I'm going to deny is your right to manipulate my emotions because a horrific event happened. For you to be able to control how I vote and how I view the world because a horrific event happened. In most circumstances, these events are anomalies. I just sat down to an interview with Mike.com. They're here. They're recording this. And the founder gave me a stat. He said, well, 990, black men were shot and killed by police in 2016. Yes, but only 16 of them were unarmed. A police officer has a right to shoot back to defend himself against somebody that's coming at him with a gun. So the stats of how many people died is irrelevant. The fact is how many unarmed black men were shot and killed by police officers in 2016. The answer is 16. That is 0.00004% of the black community. And we saw it every single night. You would think that police officers were just gunning down people based on the amount of melanin in their skin. The media was able to make people believe that this was something that was real, that this was a real threat that was posed to the black community, when in reality, you have a higher chance of getting struck by lightning than by being gunned down unarmed by a police officer. We launched a war on police officers in an effort to control the black vote. That's the facts.
Okay, so you guys heard that. Now, she actually hit you with a statistic. The reality of it is, in this country, and this is from the Department of Justice directly, there really isn't an accurate count of police shootings kept. And it's a shame. Not an accurate count, not a nationwide database that says, here are the number of police shootings in this community, this precinct, so on. There is no database like that. None. Secondly, I want you to talk to the people in Ferguson, Missouri, even before Mike Brown got shot. They will tell you, and you can look at the amount of tickets that were written, that they were basically harassed by the police. So much, in fact, that that whole department had to be broken up. Baltimore, police were found to be planting guns and evidence on people. This is the reality of it. And Philando Castile was shot and killed trying to comply with an officer. He let the officer know that he had a concealed weapon. The officer said he was pulling him over because he looked like a suspicious person. Then he got to the car and said, your tail light's out. Why did he actually stop him? Why did he actually stop him and shoot him so quickly? And guess what? He ran out the same narrative that they always do. I fear for my life. Philando Castile didn't make any sudden moves. He wasn't yelling until the officer pulled his gun out and shot him. So I understand what Candace is saying. She has some great points. The reality on it at the ground level is much, much different than parsing out the statistics and hiding behind them. If you really get to the ground level, get granular with it, you'll see there's something big going on. We'll talk about it more in just a second. All right, Sister Ivana.
Yeah.
Talk to me. How do you feel about what we just heard from Candace Owens?
Oh, goodness. Well, first, I'd like to say there needs to be some kind of measurement, some kind of database, some kind of record of what's going on so we can keep track. You know what I mean? That's what I would question. Why isn't there something in place to keep track of police shootings and, things of that nature?
Agreed.
It's unfortunate. It's sad.
we need to teach our young men just to be humble. Let's get rid of any excuse the police may have, or let's just be humble. Let's teach our young men just to be quiet. You know, because a police officer, they might be, true enough, they might be afraid. So just don't say nothing. Don't give them, like I would say to my son, don't say nothing. Just be quiet. Just be quiet and write it out.
Okay. We're going to talk
That's
about
my
that. We're going to talk about that. Brother Selwyn, what do you think?
Well, I think Candace Owens is a phenomenal reporter, but I think she's 100% incorrect on the information that she's given. I have a cousin that was murdered, made national news, Corey Jones in West Palm Beach, Florida. And until you have an individual's life snatched away, the statistics of .0000004 really don't matter to you. But when it knocks on your door and it affects people's lives and families' lives, you start to realize it's almost like a pilot. There's specific jobs in this country you just can't sign up because you can't have a bad day.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
If the anomaly was Delta had a plane drop out of the air at .0004, those statistical numbers would cause Delta to not be the #1 airline in the world.
Very
it
good.
would cause Delta the ground plane. So I just think that she's 100% incorrect. And for every Philando Castile's that situation that made national news, there are probably 200 or 300 in that same city that never were heard about.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, here's something else that I find really, really fascinating. Not fascinating, but interesting. Now, one thing was being humble. I just saw a video the other day of a woman being stopped by a police officer who invoked her right to remain silent, get arrested at a traffic stop. And the officer Mirandized her in the back of the car. He said, "You have the right to remain silent," after he arrested her for not talking to him during a traffic stop. He arrested a white female attorney. Here is where I'm going to draw the line. I completely understand why you say teach our young men to be humble. One of the most powerful movements in our community was the Black Panther Party, and those men were not humble. They didn't partner in a way with the women of the community to be humble either. They partnered to be protectors of the community and to have a space where their women could develop an environment for the children to grow and prosper. That's what they did, and they were completely serious about it. In fact, they were so serious about it, and they followed the letter of the law so faithfully, they had to change the law. The National Rifle Association, at that point, wasn't a fan of people carrying guns because the Black Panther Party legally went into the California State House bearing arms and scared the crap out of all those people in that building. Yes, at Ronald Reagan, too. He was the governor of California. But I completely understand why you say be humble. Right now, our young men ain't going to be humble. Too many of them right now understand that right now I'm being treated wrong. I just saw another video of kids in a park get arrested and handcuffed because somebody called the police on them. Kids in the park playing, arrested. 12-year-old kids walking down the street carrying basketballs. Police officer pulls up, draws his gun, get on the microphone, says, "Get on the ground." The 12-year-old kids, they started crying. Nah, what we need is these public servants to be public servants. Now, I got a clip from D.L. Hughley that's going to really epitomize exactly what I'm trying to say. Because a lot of people on the conservative side in that thread that we were going back and forth on, they got one perspective of the police. Our perspective is different. You need to learn to appreciate it and respect it. So we're going to play this video right here and listen to what D.L. Hughley has to say, and then we'll come right back. Let's roll that clip. This is from The View.
Here's the thing. The most dangerous place for black people to live is in white people's imagination. When you look at the fact, honestly, if you can have just shot up 17 people, and the police will arrest you. They know you have a gun, but they'll shoot the kid they thought had one. They'll shoot him in the back. And here's the thing, it's just, we live in America right now where we've evolved. We believe that a man can be a woman trapped in a woman's body, a woman can be a man trapped, but we inherently believe that black people are criminal. We can accept that you are a man trapped in a woman's body, but we don't. But for some reason, we can't buy the notion that all black people aren't inherently criminal, and that's it really, and that we don't like for every time something happens, they'll say these dualities can't exist. You can't tell us we live in a country where you're innocent until proven guilty, but then okay, you being murdered because he said you were guilty. The cop said you were guilty. They didn't try you.
Before they tried. Right.
And the truth of the matter, America's never. But there have been 200 race riots in America, primarily because black people or people of color have been killed by the police, but nobody be about to account. That was before there was black on black crime. So what was it then? We've been murdered for reading, for looking somebody in the eye, for whistling at somebody. The murder of black people at the hands of people of authority has always happened. And police are doing what they've always done, which is the police for us have never been about protecting and serving. It's keeping you in your community where you belong and keeping you out of places you don't. That's just how it's.
You know, there are some good officers out there. A lot.
Nobody needs to say that because we already know.
We know that.
But did you hear what he said about police keeping us where we're supposed to be and out of where we're not supposed to be? And you see a lot of people calling the police on us because they don't think we belong where we are. Brother Selwyn, what do you think?
You know, just to the statement, you know, I think our humbleness is not to be categorized as compliance. I think it needs to be strength. And being strong in being educated on the law, being strong when something is wrong, actually saying that it's wrong. Humble is not being a follower of a system that is incorrect, that wasn't socially aligned to create it for you anyway. So I think that for us to be humble, and I think for us to also understand that humble strength needs to be displayed because, I mean, it has gotten to the point in America where the racial tension and the racial lines are being so interwoven. It's getting pretty scary because it looks like a racial explosion.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. What do you think?
Almost like history repeating itself. You know, there's nothing new under the sun, but we need to learn to change our response. I myself, I have two sons in the military. One Army, one Navy, and another one getting ready to go to boot camp with the Navy. And I personally, I don't like guns. I'm not comfortable with them, but they are. I would know your rights. We need to know our rights so we can know how to stand. But again, I'm so in agreement with you about being humble, but not compromising. You know, right is right and wrong is wrong.
Okay, so LaShawna Taylor brings up an interesting point. She says you cannot try and hold court in the streets with an officer. Once you encounter an officer, you have to just go through the process. It's unfair, but the goal for every black man is to make it home alive each day. Until laws are changed, you have to do what will keep your family from burying you too soon. Now, that is a valid point. Here is a counterpoint. What did Philando Castillo do? He did everything that they asked him to do. I saw a video the other day of an officer telling a man to sit down. Another officer saying, cross your leg. Another one said, put your legs out in front of you. The man was sitting there complying, and he got tased. I saw a video several years ago, 2 years ago roughly. There was a man who was actually, he suffered from a learning disability. And his caretaker was trying to get him out of the street. The caretaker knew that the police were there. This was in Florida. The caretaker got on the ground, put his hands in the air, laid back and said, don't shoot, and still got shot. What has to happen, it changes on our side. The change is not on our side. It has to happen on law enforcement side. We have been trying to comply forever in this country. Forever. When we dress a certain way and we dress up, we uppity. When we get educated, you're a smart Negro. When we drive a nice car, you're a fancy Negro. When you got a little intelligence to you, oh, you smart. You're getting smart with me? You're getting me lip? So at some point, What has to change is the way that we are treated, because we're never going to act good enough to be respected. It's like living in an abusive relationship with an insecure person. You can never satisfy that insecure person. I don't care what type of house you buy. I don't care how accountable you are to them. As soon as you do a little bit of anything wrong, they're going to come at you. So when a attorney can get arrested for remaining silent, that means the system is broken. Not us, not our behavior. The system is broken. If a police officer can pull a gun and say, I feel threatened because you're filming me in California, that is the system that is broken. We are the citizens who actually pay for all these services to be protected and served, only to be brutalized. That's not how this story is supposed to go. So I respectfully, I absolutely agree with what you're saying, LaShawna, except for the part of it's not fair. No, it needs to change because we just can't simply comply with them breaking the law. Everybody has to be held accountable, including the police. The phone number is 470-251-4647. 470-251-4647. All right, now, I got this story that happened in Florida talking about law enforcement. Now, I ain't got no video for it, but I read it. The police force there had a high 90% closure rate on any type of crime that happened in that community. High 90-something%. Nearly every case was solved. And it was solved because the chief of police was telling the officers to go and arrest black men and pin the crimes on them. Okay. So what are we supposed to do in that instance? Brother Selwyn, what do you think?
Civil disobedience, personally. You know, I think we have to get to the point where enough is enough, and we start policing our own communities, start policing our own neighborhoods. You know, we again pay for a service, and I doubt very seriously if any taxpayer is paying to be brutalized or paid or is paying to be put in their place. I think that, you know, it is very tragic, and if that department still continues to cease to exist, I mean, it's just a reflection of how social injustice plays a part in everything that we do on a day-to-day basis.
Good deal.
So in that instance, you're being humble, you're complying with the laws at hand, but you're a target that's complying. And we all know what happens to targets, whether you try and hit them or not.
All right. Pastor Ivana.
Right is right and wrong is wrong.
I'm sorry, I said pastor. I mean apostle.
It's okay.
I want to get that title right now. If you missed the beginning of the show, she said it out why that title is important, so I apologize.
I mean, I've been ordained as pastor, evangelist, started out as evangelist, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'm Sister Ivana. How about that?
All right.
But right is right, wrong is wrong. So they have got to be held accountable, especially in the public's eye, or else it's going to happen somewhere else. They got to put a stop to it and put a stop to it now. Now, you had said basically about us coming together. That is key. Together we win. Everybody who knows me know that's what I go by. Together we win. So we've got to come together and fight back. Not with these, but with this and this. Coming together to make a difference. That means I'm not going to talk about you. I'm not going to come against you because I need you. We need to come, and again, it has to go back to God. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I got to bring them in. I'm not sorry. I got to bring them into it because people aren't praying anymore. People don't have relationships with God anymore. And because they don't have relationships with God anymore, they don't know how to have a relationship with other people. This is a problem. Together, we have got to come together to make a change, to make a difference, because one person alone can't do it.
So let me ask you this question. When you say come together, what does that look like?
Come together, united, in agreement, one accord.
Okay.
The Bible says where there are two or three gathered together in my name, that is God's name, there he is in the midst.
Okay.
The importance of togetherness, being in agreement, Let me tell you, if we're in agreement, we're going to get so much done.
Okay.
So much more done than if you try to take the weight on by yourself.
I agree.
So we can share the responsibility. And in doing so, iron sharpening iron, we'll come together and bulldoze that thing.
Now, are we looking to come together with our community or multi-communities? Or when you say come together, I'm trying to really understand what that looks like. Are we aligning with each other and everybody aligning?
Well, I would love for everyone to align, but if black people are not aligned, it needs to be focused in that area.
Fair
So
enough.
if we can get it together at home, how can we get it together throughout the rest of the world?
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Now, listen, I don't want to go too much further down that rabbit hole, because that's a whole show. And I would need about 4 or 5 hours and a big old stadium full of folks. But I do have one thing I want to say. In that thread, here's what I learned from talking to people and communicating through Facebook with people that did not agree with me and did not look like me. When you hit them with statistics and real facts, there are times that they will concede points. I said, okay, this young lady said all police officers get out there and it's a hard job. I said, okay, how difficult would it have been for a police officer to pull up and take an extra 45 seconds to assess a situation in Ohio before he sped up and shot a kid in 2 seconds? Why wasn't he prosecuted? She said, I don't know. He should have. I said, okay, what about Kenneth Brown Walker, a gentleman that graduated from high school a few years before I did in Columbus, Georgia, who was face down, handcuffed, with officers all around him, with an officer standing up over him, and he still got shot in the back. When something like that happens, I'm trying to understand what we're supposed to do. And they conceded the points. Now, I think we got a caller. Do I just hit speakerphone to answer? All right. Thank you for calling. Let's talk about it live with Jeffrey L. Miller. You are on the air. Give us your name and your comment. Go right ahead.
Hi, it's Olivia. How are you?
Hey, Olivia. Good to talk to you. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good deal. What you got for us?
So I wanted to comment on the situation with the officer, the chief that was accused of
Padding the stats.
Exactly. It happened in my neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in my neighborhood. And so it's interesting because, you know, it's a small neighborhood. So it's like probably, I think about 8 or 10 blocks. And so we're in between North Miami and Miami Shores. And so, you know, we have a small force. We have, you know, a mayor and commissioners. They're like council persons. And so, you know, it's just disheartening to know that. And I knew when it first came out, I was like, wow, I bet the kids that they're accusing are black. Because what was happening was we were getting a rash of burglaries that were happening, you know. And it was primarily people leaving their doors. It was primarily people leaving their car doors open or, you know, things like that. And so basically, you know, these people were, you know, breaking into a few houses. And so every month, the commissioner sat of, you know, how many traffic, how many stops, traffic stops, and crime statistics every month. And it was just like, wow, everything's just been like 100%.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, okay, you know, but I just think it's disheartening. I think what's most disheartening is that the reaction from my neighbors.
Tell us about that reaction.
They were more concerned. I mean, they thought that what the chief did was appalling. I mean, he left a long time ago.
Right.
So he left about 4 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And, but there was no, we had a little kind of discussion on the Next Door Act. And what was disheartening was no one mentioned about the kids that he pinned these crimes on. and I knew they were black.
Right.
I just knew,
Mhm.
you know, I knew that they were black, and they were more concerned about what this would, you know, they were more concerned not about the chief per se,
Right.
but what others think.
Mhm.
And you know, but no one talked about the kids, and I kept bringing, you know, I kept talking about, wow, you know, the kids, because think about it, they were trying to pin, I think it was like three burglaries on this one kid.
Right.
Here in Florida, that's like 15, 20 years.
Is Florida a three-strike state?
I'm sorry?
Is Florida a three-strike state?
No.
It's not?
It's not. I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
Felony state.
But
it's a
he
felony
was,
state.
you know, three burglaries probably. He probably would have gotten like 10 years for each.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And so you're talking about a 16-year-old. So a petty crime is, you know, someone leaves their car door open or whatever. I mean, imagine, you know, and if the kid is guilty of doing something like that, or maybe, you know, maybe breaking into one of the houses or whatever, but to pin 3 crimes on a child at 16, that's his basically his life would have been over. But no one talked about it. Everybody was talking about, oh, the chief and this and that, and our police force is good, and you know, that guy is out of here, but our police are really good. And yes, I have to admit, we do have some good officers. You know, being a single woman and living in a home by myself, they're good. But I just felt like, you know, let's talk about the kid. Let's talk about the impact of it. They were like, well, he's gone. We don't need to talk about that anymore. So
Got it.
I just thought it was terrible. But yeah, it happened in my neighborhood.
All right. Olivia, we appreciate you calling in now. July is almost over with, so August, we got a date, right?
Yes.
All right. I got a new studio for you, too. I put it together all myself. I built all this. I did all this, me. This guy right here. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for calling in and supporting the show. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yes, bye-bye.
All right. Now, just to recap what Olivia said, she lives in that community where there was basically a 100% closure rate on crimes that happened. 100%. Now, that's some hellified police work. Don't get it twisted. We got some great law enforcement officers, great detectives, and, you know, chiefs and everything. I'm not saying that police are bad people. I'm just saying 100%. Oh, that's amazing. Now, let's keep it in perspective. Just as Olivia said, the focus was we got a good police force. Nothing about the kids. And I think that's a problem with this country. This country will say we have to defend our police officers. But what about the lives they damage? The bad ones. Well, not all cops are bad. You're right. But the good cops seem to be side by side with the bad cops. And why do the bad cops go from one location to another one? Only in law enforcement does that seem to be okay. Look at football or any sport. A bad team member, they would get rid of that person. I don't mean to talk bad about a basketball player, but look at Dwight Howard. He has a horrible professional reputation for not being a good teammate, and he doesn't last very long on teams. That's just his reputation because he's supposedly, according to what they say, he's not a good teammate. So why are we so hard on Dwight Howard, but not so hard on law enforcement? He's just playing basketball.
I have a question for you, Jeff.
Yes, sir. Now, Selwyn, I got some comments. Okay. They say they can't hear you. Hold your mic a little higher for me.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
My question is, what does a good police officer look like? What is a good cop? What are our standards on a good police officer?
You know what? I actually can answer this because of the exchange I had the other day. This police officer said, when I stop someone, I immediately think of how they feel about me stopping them, and I treat them with courtesy and respect. That is a good police officer. I had a couple of police officers respond to me saying this: why don't you go put on a badge? Yeah, you don't have the guts, do you? That, in my opinion, is the wrong attitude for a police officer to have. Of course, it takes courage. You signed up for it. Of course, it's a difficult job. You signed up for it.
If you make a mistake, your police union will cover you. In some municipalities, your disciplinary record can even be made public because of the police union. Where they do that at? So that's what I feel a good officer. An officer who respects the fact that he's stopping a person,
Okay.
and not a perp.
And I think that in society as a black man, that's like one of our. We're not saying a person that upholds the actual law, that they're paid. The fact that this individual is just polite with me and think about my personal feelings makes them a good officer. Nothing about upholding the specifics of the law. Nothing about the law. Just the fact that, hey man, he gave me my ticket and told me I can go on my way. That was a good cop. I think that person. I think that's sad, because like has our views of what a good cop essentially would be like has it changed that much to where now our communities are being policed by people who just literally when they drive down our streets they go, that's a good cop, that's Officer Brown, he a good man, he just waved at us. Like, is that really what it used to be? Because when I was growing up, our police officers, they were our football coaches, they were our basketball coaches,
same here, they
were our track coaches, we knew they were our deacons. You know, now it's that is a good cop. A guy who waves or a guy who provides you with a citation and lets you go on your way. That's considered to be a good cop.
Apostle Ivana, what do you think?
Yes, I while he was answering or asking the question, I'm thinking, well, please let me answer that. A good cop to me is one who not only enforces the law but doesn't abuse the power behind the badge. The good cop is the one that's going to go to bat for the law, you know, for the rights, not just of himself, but the person, the rights, the right. You know, just because you're a police officer, don't be biased. Do the right thing. Integrity. You swore in and you swore to do a job. That's what would make a good cop do the job.
I think Jeffery made a great point.
Make sure you hold your mic up.
I think Jeffery made a great point when he said, "You're side by if a good cop is side by side with a bad cop, your sworn duty is to uphold the law. And if you know that that's a bad cop, it automatically makes you a bad good cop when you don't do the job that you're paid to do." That's just my take.
Now, one of these days I'm gonna have some police officers on the show, and we're gonna have a good, healthy debate. I've been, first of all, I know several police officers, several people in law enforcement, and I have a healthy respect for them. I know them from college. I know them from high school. I know some from elementary school. I know people who work for the FBI. These are good people. These are hardworking people that go to work every single day. They put their lives on the line every single day. Don't get it twisted. Yes, we do need law enforcement people serving the public. At the same time, don't forget this country's history. This is the country that slaughtered buffalo so that the Indians couldn't be self-sustaining. They slaughtered buffalo almost to extinction and made mountains of buffalo skull bones, like making a mockery of the people they pushed out of their own homes through the Trail of Tears. Let's not forget that some of the origins of law enforcement go back to slave enforcement, slave catchers. So I don't want anyone to think that we have just completely gotten over that as a country, because we've never truly faced it as a country. It's always been excuses for why we're better, but never the hard work to make us better. As a matter of fact, the progress that's going on in South Africa right now, people are appalled that these South Africans are taking back land that was stolen. Imagine if the people who were the first the first people here, imagine if they started taking back their land. Would they not be justified because it was stolen? The Aborigine in Australia. What if they started taking back the land that was stolen from them? I just want everybody to understand. I'm getting kind of, off where I wanted to go with it. There are a lot of countries around the world that were started off the backs of brutality that still have some of those vestiges in place right now. You think the ghetto happened by mistake? It happened on purpose. All right, LaShawna has a good comment. I love this right here. LaShawna says, please don't understand. I'm not saying our compliance is the fix-all. What's really frustrating is that you also have to remember that even when an officer is charged with the crime, he has to be found guilty by a jury of his peers. That typically means the DA says, as D.L. Hughley says, other white people who only see us negatively in their imaginations. It seems like a lose-lose situation, but all you can do is control your actions. So don't try and hold court in the streets with a cop and possibly escalate the situation. Like I stated before, Sandra Bland didn't escalate no situation. She was actually complying. The officer told her to turn her radio down. She didn't have to do that. She was smoking. He said something about her smoking. She could smoke in her own car. She wasn't blowing smoke in his face. He said, get out of the vehicle. She did not have to get out of the vehicle, but she got out anyway. So she actually did everything that you're saying. And she ended up being arrested and taken to jail. Now, yes, that officer had charges pressed against him. I don't know how hard they stuck. I think he lost his job. I don't think he was convicted. Rarely do officers get held to account where they feel like, you know what, I'm not going to do that again. Sometimes they get vacations. Sometimes they get paid vacations. Now, I'll tell you one state that really don't play is South Carolina. South Carolina will prosecute an officer in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I believe it was Walter Scott that was shot in the back. And the police officer got 20 years. I was surprised. I think it was Walter Scott. I might be mixing the name up. It was in South Carolina, but I don't think it was Charlotte. The guy, older guy who was running, the officer shot him in the back, and somebody recorded it. I think that was Walter Scott. And then he planted the gun. But now, again, I need everybody to understand me. We actually do need law enforcement. We need to make sure that the officers are protected and they are recognized for what they do. At the same time, we have to be respected too. Putting on the uniform doesn't mean you're above the law. You have to respect the law, and you should be held accountable for the law as well. I want to pivot. I want to get back to what you are doing and what you've written, and we're going to talk about that. Lost in the Valley. Yes. Lost in the Valley. Now, you were telling us this was about your journey, and I think I'm seeing the metaphor that you were actually in your spiritual valley. Am I correct?
Oh, no.
Okay.
This valley here
yes.
was dark. It was drugs. It was abuse. It was, oh goodness, it was insecurities. It was life on the street. It was every dark thing you can think of. Mm-hmm. It was every dark thing you can think of. Mm-hmm. God brought me out. So I was lost in the valley.
Understood.
Ooh, but today I'm found in Christ.
Wonderful,
Amen.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, now what was that point, if you don't mind sharing, what was that point where you actually started to say, I got to do better. I got to stop doing what I'm doing now and do better. What was the impetus behind that?
My son, but my children, but my one son. Mm-hmm. My one son, and Marcel. Mm-hmm. He's in the military now, and actually he's done 2 tours already, mm-hmm. and he's here in Atlanta recruiting. He would always ask me questions while I was in that state of mind, high. Mm-hmm. Mom, what's the smoke? Mom, what you doing? Mom. And it got so loud that it made me look at things like, wait a minute, what am I doing? What am I doing? And it first started, you have to read the book to really get all the facts and details, because I would be here forever mm-hmm. trying to tell you. But it stemmed from the addiction, stemmed from low self-esteem, mm-hmm. wanting to be accepted, wanting to be loved, I didn't love me. Mm-hmm. So because I didn't love me, I wanted you to love me. Understood. I wanted you to teach me how to love me. Understood. Today it's not that at all. You can't tell me anything today because I know who I am. But back then I didn't. And so whatever I could do to please, people please, oh my gosh, I was the biggest people pleaser there is. That's how I got started into this. I wanted that then boyfriend to be happy, again, to accept me. So I did what he said to do. He put the pipe to my mouth and he said inhale, and I did. And that, and what accompanied that was abuse, the mental, the emotional, the physical abuse. And it just stemmed from there. And by the time we got to my children, actually, because, oh my goodness, you have to read the book.
Right.
But my son, Marcel, he was the one that, I mean, even in hindsight, it was, you know, like Bart Simpson.
Yes.
Mom.
Yes.
That's how my son was.
Or Stewie.
Mhm.
Mama.
Yeah,
Ma,
that's it.
Mama.
That's
Okay.
exactly it. And it was it had gotten so loud. And then I realized, wow, everybody's been talking, not just Marcel. Everybody's been telling me, you know, and trying to do it for them couldn't work. It would happen, and it worked for a time, but it didn't last. I had to realize that I was hurting me, and in the event of hurting me, or in the process of hurting me, I was hurting everybody else around me. I had to say enough is enough. Father, help me. I submit and surrender. I can't do it on my own. Did I get clean that day? No. It was still a process. Mm-hmm.
Understood. Fair enough. Now, we're going to come back to you. What I'd like for you to do, pick a passage from the book and read it for us. Now, you got the wrong book. You're about to read My Soul Baby's Married. Now, she's saved now.
Gonna be like,
don't read that book now. All right, good deal. Brother Selwyn, let's talk about your book. Now, you wanted to give the man's perspective. And giving the man's perspective and starting to research and putting everything together for the book, what did you discover about the man's perspective when it comes to how we feel about love and relationships and things like that?
I think that what I learned the most was that we just communicate on a totally different wavelength, and trying to simplify our thoughts and making them, you know, bite-sized for us.
Got it.
Not being, you know, most guys are not Romeo. Most guys can't write these awesome soliloquies or sonnets and sit outside the woman's door and sing and bellow out things all night, right?
Right.
But if we take our masculinity and put it in small and bite-sized pieces for us, you know, it's easier to communicate those feelings. It's easier to communicate our thoughts, our wants. But a woman has to be receptive to hearing those thoughts, those wants, those desires from a guy. So it's that balance of, you know, taking a blue-collar worker and a business executive, seeing how those two people speak the same language when you're talking about love and relationship, but also looking at how their lives segue across each other and overall how women receive that information from each.
Fair enough. Now, we're going to come back to you and ask the same thing. Take a passage from the book and read it for us.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Apostle Ivana, what you got for us?
Okay. This is actually in the introduction. Help me. My soul cried out, but I thought no one heard me. I'm tired, oh God, I'm tired. What am I going to do now? I've disappointed everyone who ever loved me. I hurt those who cared for me. I was lost to the streets in the valley of the shadow of death where drug addiction was a common way of life. Who do I go to? Who's going to help me?
Okay. All right. Brother Selwyn.
All right. I chose something from the intro as well, just something quick. Most people that get married, they buy into the myth that marriage is a specially designed box that's full of all the things that they need for a lasting future: companionship, intimacy, friendship, and communication. What if I told you that everything that you knew to be true about marriage was actually that box is empty at the start? The things that are needed for the relationship to continue to flourish and progress are things that you have to put in the box on a consistent basis.
I love it. I think both of you are talking about things that people really, really need to understand. Now, first of all, I want you to share with people where they can go to get your book.
Oh, okay. You can go to Amazon. You can go to my website, IvanaVereen.com, Facebook, or you can just Google me, Ivana Vereen. It will all come up. I write daily.
Good deal.
This is a daily thing for me. It's how I get free. If I can't encourage somebody, I think I'll get sick.
Understood.
I've got to give what God has placed on the inside of me. And through this process, a writer was born, an author was born, you know.
Good deal. Brother Selwyn.
You can pick My Soulmate is Married Up off of Amazon, any of the other ebook mediums that you may use to actually purchase the book, you can actually look me up on Instagram, Facebook at s2.mbs, Mind, Body, Soul. All of my information is there. Also, we've actually just recently hit 1,017 books over the past year. So over a full 13th month roll, we have actually sold ebook and physical copy books, over 1,000 books. So I'm super excited about that.
Congratulations.
And I appreciate you for allowing me to come on when the book first got started.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now listen, we ain't done yet. We still got time on this show.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to talk more about what they're doing because these are some incredible people, two incredibly talented authors pouring their souls out into paper and, pen and digital, media. So I need you to go out and support them. But I want to talk about something before we go. This country is getting mean as hell. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's mean as hell. First of all, I got something that talks about this man being harassed at the pool in the apartment complex that he lived in. This man was just chilling, minding his business. And a police officer, a security guard, came up and asked him if he lived there. Where do you live? Now, within his rights, he showed his key card to the security guard. And then the lady from the leasing office comes out. Now, the thing is, when the man at the pool gets harassed in his own complex, it just trips me out. Because I'm thinking about the police calling or being called on all these different things. So we're going to look at this one. We're going to come back and talk about it after we play it. And then we'll play the next person who got the police called on them. This is ridiculous. Go ahead and roll clip.
What up, Insta Live? We got another police officer after I showed her my key and walked up here and tried to kick me out of my own goddamn pool. I pay $1,600 in rent. What's your badge number? That's my question. Hey, Candace? Yeah, tell her she looked stupid. Now tell her she looked dumb. Just tell her she looked dumb because I told her I showed her my key. She didn't have to come over here. I'm over here. Yeah, but I told her that but listen, hold up. First of all, the question that you asked me was, do I live here? I said yes. Then you asked me what my address was. I showed you my key. What more of a conversation needs to be held? Seriously, what more of a conversation do I need to? But I'm saying, I did answer her question. I did. Why do I need to give this lady who I don't know my address? I don't know her. I don't know if that's a fake ass badge. What do you mean? I'm saying, just seriously, and just think about it from my perspective. Yes, but you just came over here and ruined my alone time and my.
Shane.
Yes.
This is only for residents.
Yes.
Being regulated.
I showed her my key. What else did I have to do, Candace? What else did I have to do? She didn't walk over there. She didn't walk. Were you gonna walk over there? No, you haven't. You ain't been over here in the last hour.
I already walked out here.
Yeah.
And looked at everything with her. Plus your mom's purse is in the office. I don't know if you want to take that.
Oh, I was gonna walk over there. I thought y'all was closed, so I was gonna get it tomorrow. But I just don't feel like I'm welcome. You know what I mean? Like she just walked over here and just literally looked right at me, like, yo, he's not. You know what I mean? I just showed her my key. I literally showed her my key. At that point, I feel like there's no more conversation in me, and I wasn't here. It was probably 30 minutes, and I was here. I've been sitting out here since. Honestly, I don't care to hear you talk. If you want me, why do I have to leave my pool? She don't live here. Do you live here?
There is a sign that says that I can ask for anybody to leave.
But for what? But for why am I leaving? I literally have been sitting here not doing shit. Literally just got over here. But I feel threatened. Honestly, I don't feel like I'm.
I already came out here with her, and I have looked at everybody here.
I'm just saying. I showed her my key. I haven't showed her. I have been here. I just left the gym. I literally just left the gym and sat over. Okay. All right.
Did y'all see that?
I'm just saying.
Did y'all see that? Was it just me or did y'all see that too? Now I saw a young man chilling at the. I'm gonna hold my mule. I'm gonna hold my mule just for a second. All right. Now, Apostle Ivana, your feelings on this video?
Not right. She saw a black man and she stereotyped him. He shouldn't have been there. It's wrong. She was wrong. They were wrong, and they were following up. He had every right to say he felt threatened because it was two of them coming at him about where he lived. Like, he is not supposed to be there, and he has every right.
That's sitting while black. Wow, you're killing me.
They were wrong.
They were
wrong.
Brother
Hands
Selwyn,
down.
what do you think?
Sitting while black. SWB. I like it. No, I thank the Lord it wasn't me. I know that was just that whole situation would have ended totally different. So.
No. Here's the part that really disturbs me. The woman who works in the leasing office came out. He was like, okay, I should be okay now because she knows I live here. She should have my back. And she completely did not have his back. In fact, she ended up saying, you need to leave now. Now, I need everybody to understand something. That's part of the problem right there. See, white people, and I'm going to say white people because y'all white people. White people will side with law enforcement, right or wrong. White people will side with authority, right or wrong. There were some people who said that Tamir Rice was big for his age. He was big for his age, criminalizing Tamir Rice. I need you to think about this. This is a kid who was killed, and they said, well, he was big. Are you kidding me? Philando Castillo, in the debate that I was having, they said that he was high. They found traces of THC in his system. He was high. Now, I will tell you, I will tell you that that lady had a point because high amounts of THC can make you paranoid. After watching the video, he wasn't paranoid. He was completely lucid. And he said, I have to let you know that I have a concealed weapon in the vehicle. He said it very calmly. So if he was high, he was on the mellow side of being high, not the paranoid side of being high. This video is emblematic of the problem with this country. Even in the right, we still wrong when authorities show up. And that leasing office agent should have said, you know what, he lives here, he's fine. And that would have been the end of it. But no, she came out and she had to show her ass too. You need to leave. Now, I haven't been able to find out what's happened yet, but I'm going to tell you something. This country's getting mean. And another city, I don't know if this is New York, it looks like New York or Chicago, one of them. Another lady called the police on somebody because she felt like they were breaking the rules. So we got another permit patty. Do you have a permit to do what you're doing? We're going to play this video of another permit patty, and we're going to watch it to the end. Then we're going to talk about it because, honestly, I think they're starting to see what we're talking about and see we ain't playing. Let's go ahead and play this video.
Hi. Permit Betty. Huh? We got another Permit Betty here. Everybody. Let's get her viral also. Let's get her viral also. Permit Betty. Yep, she sure does. She's got to mess with people that just trying to make a living. Yeah. Yep. Everybody can do business. Let's let her go viral, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, everybody. I know compassion is all.
There she goes.
But we're just trying to make sure everybody has the opportunity.
Yeah. There she goes. Yes. Permit Patty. Let's figure out what company she's with. Oh, where's she going? Where's she going?
Working on.
Now, did y'all see that? Wow. Yeah. And she got scared and she walked off. She was like, you know what? Now that I think about it, let me get on out of here so I can keep my job. I don't have time for this. I ain't really that concerned about this street vendor. Let me go ahead and keep it pushing. All right, Brother Selwyn, what do you think about that?
Oh man!
Hold the mic all the way up for me.
I think that the situation with America being so mean, I think it's a trickle down effect. I think that people that sit in a big White House on Pennsylvania Avenue, they go by the number of 45. I think their personal venom is spilling out. It's spilling on the country, and it's causing individuals that would normally, stay in their lane with the things that they feel or things that they normally wouldn't say. I think it's giving them liberation to be able to say these things and feel this way on a public stage, and it's causing a lot of distress.
All right. Apostle?
I feel like she should have minded her own business. Out of pocket. Out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she doesn't know or didn't know or even probably took the time to find out, you know, why he was doing what he was doing, the family, who he has to support as a result. Because I know, if you know, I have a couple of jobs, you know. One nowadays isn't enough. You know what I mean? So everybody's looking for a way to make a little bit more. Compassion. Where's the compassion?
Okay, now I want everybody to understand something. Brother Selwyn kind of hit it on the head. It's coming from the top. The attitude of this country is reflective of the leadership of this country. So we're going to play this video. I have this segment that we have towards the end of the show that talks about people who make some, either profound comments or some controversial comments or just some comments that are completely ludicrous. So we're going to play this next clip, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Here we go. This is The Daily Show with Vice President Mike Pence. Let's roll clip.
Pence made a visit to Brazil, and there was something he needed to get off his chest.
To the people of Central America, I have a message for you. Straight from my heart. And straight from the heart of the American people. Don't risk your lives or the lives of your children by trying to come to the United States on a road run by drug smugglers and human traffickers. If you can't come legally, don't come at all.
God damn. That's from his heart? Jeez, what does he say when he hates you? That was so intense as well. If you can't come legally, don't come at all. Incidentally, that's also his rule for sex. Mother, I have a permit. And here's what I find funny about this whole thing, right? Is the fact that Mike Pence used Brazil as an opportunity to speak to Central American migrants. Why? Brazil is not even in Central America. You realize Florida is closer to Central America than Brazil. Like, there's no issue with immigrants coming from Brazil illegally. Brazilians don't even speak Spanish. Like, Brazil's just kind of similar to them. Like, what does that mean? It's like going to a Star Trek convention and being like, I've got a message for Chewbacca! But I guess for Pence, it's close enough. I feel like he gives this speech whenever he's around any Latinos, He'll be at Chili's like, I have a message straight from my heart. Don't risk your lives. It's like, sir, can you take the sizzling steak fajitas, please? My hand is starting to burn. It's starting to burn, sir. And the way Pence delivered that speech was no joke. Like, he sounded like, in those movies when a villain is showing up on every single TV screen around the world?
Yes, sir. I got it. To the people of Central America. Shh. Nobody's saying anything. I have a message for you. We're blanketing every station. Don't risk your lives or the lives of your children by trying to come to the United States on a road run by drug smugglers and human traffickers. If someone tells you they can bring your child to America, don't believe them. Hold on to your children. Build your lives in your homeland. If you can't come legally, don't come at all.
Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? What I want you to take away from that is he said if you can't come legally. Now listen, there are people that came to this country seeking asylum, and that is legal, and you were still locking them up at the border. You were still separating the families. Right now, crossing the border is a misdemeanor. A misdemeanor. You criminalized a misdemeanor to the point where you were treating them like they had committed felonies. Now, there's a movement to make crossing the border illegally a felony. They were saying you need to go to a port of entry if you want to seek asylum. They were arresting people at ports of entry who were seeking asylum. I need y'all to understand. They were doing this to people that were darker skinned. Let's keep it in perspective. They were doing these things, and they planned to start doing these things and blaming every other administration for these things because they wanted to be the ones who protected the border, even though immigration had gone down.
illegal immigration had gone down. Arrests at the borders had gone down. It had been going down every year since President Obama was in office. There was no border emergency. They wanted to do this to fuel the prison industrial complex. Right now, immigration detention is nearly $1 billion industry. Nearly $1 billion industry. It was about the money and making people who are in America, who are those true mean patriots, the super patriots, feel good about being American. Now, Vice President Mike Pence, people say the dumbest things sometimes. Sometimes people develop diarrhea at the mouth. People end up putting their foot in their mouth and leave the shoestring hanging off the side. But you, sir, the 45th Vice President of the United States, you need to sit your ass down with that foolishness. You can't come here legally, don't come. But when they come here legally, they get arrested. Families get separated. Barely complying with the federal law to reunite the families. Little kids seeing their fathers and they don't recognize them. Little kids seeing their mothers and they don't recognize them. Shame on you folks. Shame on you folks who quoted the Bible. Mike Sessions, Jeff Sessions, talking about it's biblical to respect the laws of the land. What does the Bible say about how you treat immigrants? You treat him like he's from your country. That's what it says. Mean asses.
Called the Good Samaritan.
It's not called the Bad Samaritan. You're killing me. All right, listen. This has been a whole lot of fun. It's been 3 weeks. Y'all just don't know. I still got content. We can go another 2 hours. It's been that long since I've been on the air. 3 weeks. It's good to be back. I want to thank each one of you for coming out on the show. What I'd like to do at this time is for you to, if you feel so inclined, share your information, how people can follow you, contact you, call you, and things like that. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. I want to thank you for having me on, and thank
pleasure.
you, everyone, for listening, and thank you for you being you. I'm grateful and thankful. Yes, I can be found on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, my website. Did I say Facebook? Yeah, I write on. I have several different pages on Facebook, and one of them is Marriage Quotes. Over 27,000 people following that.
Okay.
And people want to know how to find love and how to stay in love. Just want to put that in there real quick. And my email, info@ivanavereen.com. Look me up if you need me. I'm going to tell it.
All right. Good deal. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate that, Apostle Ivana.
Yes,
Vereen.
you got it. Yes, you got
Boom, up in this
He did
piece.
4 times in a row.
it. He got it.
Brother Selwyn.
Ivana, it's definitely been my pleasure. Jeffrey, always a pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
Yes, sir.
The information for my book, again, you can find it on Amazon, any ebook site or anything like that. Again, that's S-squared, SSQUARED.MBS. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. You can inbox me at any time and set up, book talk or book conversations. A lot of book talks that I've done throughout the United States thus far have been just by people inboxing me and things of that nature. So I love to do book talks. I love to get with the women and kind of chop it up about a male's perspective and how we think, what we think sometimes. And other than that, go out and get it if you haven't got it. Again, it's My Soulmate's Married. I'm working on the next one currently. Am I married to my soulmate? So it's the finish up to what Avery's going to be doing. So you'll find out in the next book what Avery decided to do as far as the relationship side of things go.
Wonderful. I'm excited about that. I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, listen. We do this every Saturday from 6 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. right here on Manifest TV. That's on the Status Network. We're doing things big, so I need you to follow me everywhere at Talk with Jeffrey on Facebook, YouTube, #Talk with Jeffrey. You'll see my page. Twitter, @NigelsPop, NIGELSPOP. You can hashtag the Status Network, and it'll pull up everywhere on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Status_Network, Facebook, Status Network LLC. The phone number is 470-251-4647. Again, I am Talk with Jeffrey. No spaces, all over everything, except for Twitter
and except for Snapchat. I'm still not Snapchatting. There might be a new network. I still don't get it. I tried it one time. That was enough for me. So this has been a whole lot of fun.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it has.
I appreciate both of you coming out. But I am out.
So now, you know.
Now that you know about Jeffrey, and let's talk about it live, come be a part of our family.
You know we had to give y'all homework, right?
Keep up with the show. Follow us on all of our social media platforms.
That's Facebook and Instagram.
Would you like to listen to the show on the go? Make sure you download the Status Network app on your Google or Apple Play Store.
Want to talk to Jeffrey?
Dial 470-251-4647. We thank you for listening. And make sure you're back here every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Let's Talk About It Live with Jeffrey L. Miller.
Status Network.